I cheated and told my husband. He didn't yell. He just stopped being him. 2 years I tried to fix what I broke. Last week he packed one bag. I said, please, he said. I stayed longer than I should have. He closed the door quietly. That was the worst part. Part 1. I'm not writing this for sympathy. I don't deserve it and I'm not going to pretend I do. I'm writing this because I've read 100 stories on here about people who were cheated on, how they found out, how they reacted, how they rebuilt. And in every one, the person who cheated is the villain. A paragraph. A punchline. The before in someone else's after. Nobody writes it from this side. The side where you're the one who detonated the thing. Where you sit in the crater you made and watch the person you love try to stand up, and you realize they're not going to. Not all the way. Not ever again. I'm the villain. This is what the villain's version sounds like. His name is Elliot. We were married for 7 years. Together for 10. He is the kindest man I have ever known. Not kind in the way people say it when they can't think of anything more interesting, kind in the way that restructures how you think about other humans. The kind that makes you feel embarrassed for everyone who isn't. Elliot remembered everything. Not birthdays and anniversaries, those are easy. He remembered the name of the book I mentioned wanting in a conversation 3 months earlier and had it wrapped on the nightstand when I got home. He remembered that I don't like being asked what's wrong when I'm quiet, I like being handed tea and left alone until I'm ready. He remembered that my mother's death anniversary hits me 2 days before the actual date, not on it, and he always took that Tuesday off work without saying why. He was the kind of man who loved in infrastructure. Not grand gestures. Systems. Routines. The coffee already made when I came downstairs. The tank always full. The light bulb replaced before I noticed it was out. Love is maintenance. Love is someone quietly making sure the building you live in together never needs an emergency repair. And I took a wrecking ball to it. The conference was in Denver. 3 days. October. My company sends our team every year for an industry summit. I'd gone 4 times before. Elliot always dropped me at the airport with a travel mug of coffee and a note tucked in my carry-on that I wouldn't find until I was airborne. This time the note said, "Come home safe. I'll be the one at arrivals who looks like he missed you the most." I read it at 35,000 feet. Smiled. Put it in my jacket pocket. And that night, in a hotel bar in Denver, after 2 days of panels and networking and the specific loneliness that hits when you're surrounded by people who know your job title but not your name, I sat next to a man named Ryan. He was in from Chicago. Same industry. Same conference. Same barstool energy of 2 people who didn't want to go back to empty hotel rooms. We talked for 3 hours. He was funny. Direct. The kind of flirtatious that feels like attention without pressure. He didn't remind me of Elliot, and that was the problem. He reminded me of who I was before Elliot. Before the mortgage and the meal planning and the quiet Sundays that I loved but sometimes mistook for stagnation. I went to his room. I won't describe it. You don't need the details and I don't want to give them. It lasted less than an hour. I got dressed, walked back to my room, sat on the bathroom floor, and threw up. Not from alcohol. From clarity. The specific, violent clarity that hits when you've just done the one thing you swore you'd never do, and there is no version of the next 24 hours that doesn't involve destroying someone who trusted you completely. I flew home the next morning. Elliot was at arrivals. Holding the travel mug. Smiling the way he smiled at me, not the way he smiled at other people. The specific one. The one that was only mine. I got in the car. He asked about the conference. I answered on autopilot. He talked about the house, he'd fixed the bathroom faucet that had been leaking. He'd made soup. He'd rented a movie he thought I'd like. He'd made soup. While I was in another man's hotel room, my husband was standing at a stove making me soup. We got home. He brought in my bag. I stood in the kitchen and I told him. I didn't plan what to say. I didn't soften it. I just said it. I slept with someone at the conference. Last night. I'm telling you because you deserve to know and I can't carry it. He was holding a ladle. He'd been heating up the soup. The ladle stopped midair. His body didn't move, but something behind his eyes did, something shifted, slid, and locked into a position I'd never seen before. He set the ladle down. Gently. On the counter. Aligned it with the edge of the stove the way he aligns everything, carefully, precisely, because Elliot treats objects and people with the same quiet respect. Who? He asked. Nobody you know. A man from the conference. It was once. It's not ongoing. I'm not making excuses. I did it and I'm telling you. He nodded. Not the nod of understanding. The nod of receiving. Like someone signing for a package they didn't order. Okay, he said. Okay? I heard you. That was it. He didn't yell. Didn't cry. Didn't throw the ladle or punch the wall or call me a name I deserve to be called. He turned off the stove. Covered the soup. Walked upstairs. I heard the guest room door close. Not slam. Close. The soft click of a latch meeting a frame. That click is the loudest sound I've ever heard. He slept in the guest room that night. I lay in our bed, the bed we'd picked together, the sheets he'd washed that morning because he always washes them on Wednesdays, and I stared at the ceiling and listened to the silence that comes after you break something that was never supposed to break. In the morning, he came downstairs. Made coffee. 2 cups. Set mine on the counter the way he always did, cream, no sugar, spoon already in. He sat across from me at the kitchen table. I'm not leaving, he said. Not today. I need time to think. Okay. I'm going to need some things from you. Anything. I need you to stop touching me. For now. Until I say it's okay. Okay. I need the guest room. Indefinitely. Okay. And I need you to not tell anyone. Not your friends. Not your sister. Nobody. I can't process this and manage other people's reactions at the same time. I won't tell anyone. He nodded. Picked up his coffee. Went to the living room. Turned on the news. And that was the beginning of the quietest, longest punishment I will ever endure. Not because Elliot designed it that way. But because the man I loved stopped being the man I loved, and I was the reason.